Hello everyone, we are from the fifth group and now we're going to discuss about linguistics. Next slide. Before we dive into the topic, I would like to take a few minutes to introduce ourselves. I'll start by sharing a little bit about myself. My name is Loveni Lestari and you can call me Fanny. My student ID number is 221-2021-007. And now I'd like to take a moment to introduce the members of our group. For Febri and Fania, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Fanny. So my name is Putu Febri Valentina Griandi with student ID 2212021014.
And me, my name is Pandini Putovani Dharma Patni with student ID 221-202-1051.
Next slide, please. Well, today's presentation will be focused on 6 major issues. The first is definition of language. The second is knowledge and sound system. The third is knowledge of words. And the fourth is the creativity of linguistic knowledge. Next is linguistic knowledge and performance. And the last will be the importance of comprehending linguistic in ELT. Well, the first 3 topics will be presented by Fania. For Fania, time is yours.
Well, thank you for the time given to me. What is language? Language is the source of human life and power. According to the philosophy expressed in myth and religions of many peoples, language is the source of human life and power. To understand our humanity, we must understand the nature of language that make us human. Language is a string of sound that signifies certain meanings that can be understood by others who know that language. A language is much more than speech. Deaf people produce and understand sign language just as hearing person produce and understand spoken language. The language of the deaf communities throughout the world are equivalent to spoken language, differing only in their modality of expression. Next, please. Second is knowledge of the sound system. Knowing the sound system of a language includes more than knowing the inventory of sound. It means also knowing which sounds may start a word and follow each other. Part of knowing language means knowing that what sounds or signs are that in language and what sounds are not. One way this unconscious knowledge is revealed by the way speakers one language pronounce word from another language. If you speak only English, for example, you may substitute an English sound for a non-English sound when pronouncing foreign word like French, ménage à trois. If you pronounce it as French, boule, you are using sounds outside the English sound system. Knowing the sound system of a language includes more than knowing the inventory of sounds. It means also knowing which sounds may start a word and follow it. Next, please. The third, knowledge of words. Word is a sound that we produce and have a certain meaning. For example, speaker of English understands what a boy means and that it means something different from toy or girl or pterodactyl. We also know that toy and boy are words, but moi is not. Why? Because toy means an object, often a small representation of something familiar, as an animal or person for children or other to play with. Boy means a male child or youth. However, moi doesn't have any meaning. When you know a language, you know words in that language. That is, you know which sequences of sound related to specific meanings and which do not. If you don't know a language, the word of that language will be mainly incomprehensible because the relationship between speech sound and the meanings of they represent is an arbitrary one. When you are acquiring a language, you have to learn that the sounds represented by the letter how signify the concept. In French, this same meaning is represented by maison. If you know Russian, by Dom. If you know Spanish, by Casa. This conventional and arbitrary relationship between the form and meaning of a word is also true in sign language. If you see someone using a sign language, you don't know is it doubtful that you will understand the message from the signs alone. There is some sound symbolism in language, that is, word whose pronunciation suggests their meanings. Most language contain onomatopoeic words like buzz or murmur that imitate the sounds associated with the objects or actions they refer to. Sometimes, particular sound combinations seem to relate to a particular concept. Many English words beginning with GL relate to sight, such as glare, glint, gleam, glitter, glossy, glaze, glints, glimmer, glimpse, and glisten. However, GL word and they like a very small part of any language, and GL may have nothing to do with sight in another language or even in the other word in English, such as gladiator, glucose, glory, glutton, globe, and so on. The next material will be presented by my friends. Time's yours. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Fania. And the next topic will be the creativity of linguistic knowledge. Well, knowledge of a language enables you to combine sounds to form words, words to form phrases, and phrases to form sentences. And you cannot buy a dictionary or phrasebook of any language with all the sentences of the language because no dictionary can list all the possible sentences. It is because the number of sentences in a language is infinite. And knowing a language means being able to produce and understand new sentences that never spoken before. And this is the creative aspect of language. Not every speaker can create a great literature, but everybody who knows a language can create and understand new sentences. And this creative aspect of language is quite easy to illustrate. If for every sentence in the language a longer sentence can be formed, then there is no limit to the number of sentences. In English, we can say, this is the house, or this is the house that Jack built, and that kind of things. So all human languages permit their speakers to increase the length and complexity of sentences in this way, so that creativity is a universal property of human language. And our creative ability is reflected not only in what we say, but also in understanding of new or novel sentences. In pointing out the creative aspect of language, Noam Chomsky, whom many regard as the father of modern linguistics, argued persuasively against that view that language is a set of learned responses to stimuli. And it's true. If someone steps on your toes, you may automatically respond with a scream or a grunt. But these sounds are not part of language. They are involuntary reactions to stimuli. After we reflexively cry it out, we can then go on to say, "Oh, thank you very much for stepping on my toe, because I was afraid I had elephantiasis, and now that I can feel the pain, and now I know I don't." Or any one of an infinite number of sentences, because the particular sentence we produce are not controlled by any stimulus. Next, please. Well, the next topic will be linguistic knowledge and performance. Well, linguistic is the study of language as a system of human communication. Linguistic includes many different approaches to the study of language and many different areas of investigation. For example, sound system or phonetics, phonology, sentence structure, syntax, relationship between language and cognition, cognitive linguistics, meaning systems, semantics, pragmatics, and function of language, as well as language and social factors or sociolinguistic. Well, several specialized branches of linguistics have also developed in combination with other disciplines. For example, applied linguistics, anthropological linguistics, psycholinguistics, and forensic linguistics. Well, linguistic units can be the distinctive sound of a language, or words, phrases, or sentences, or they can be larger units such as the utterances in a conversation. Well, theoretically, there is no limit to the length of a sentence, but in practice, very long sentences are highly improbable, the Forbes federal judge notwithstanding. Evidently, there is a difference between having the knowledge required to produce or understand a sentence of a language and applying this knowledge. It is a different it is a difference between our knowledge of words and grammar, which is our linguistic competence, and how we use this knowledge in actual speech production and comprehension, which is our linguistic performance. Well, the last topic will be delivered by Febri. For Febri, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time, Penny. So now I will talk about the importance of comprehending linguistics in English language teaching. Next, the field of language teaching is concerned with the development of language programs and courses, teaching methodology, materials development, second language acquisition theory, testing, teacher training, and applied linguistics. I discovered that there are 6 uses of linguistics in English language teaching. The first is linguistics as the guidance of teachers in making the teaching method and approaches in language teaching. Second, linguistics as an important role in determining the objectives and content of language teaching. Third, linguistics as the assistance for the teachers to explain the English components and structures to the student. Fourth, linguistics as a sequential system of formulas to shape teaching materials. Fifth, linguistics as the second language acquisition that affects the process of language teaching, more so how the language is taught. Sixth, linguistics as the language description that will make the teacher aware of the structure of the language to be taught, and thereby improve the quality of linguistic content in language teaching. Every language has a system or linguistic rules that the teachers need to be comprehend in language teaching. Those rules can be learned in terms of phonetic, phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantic. The first will be phonology, or the study of sound system. Next, phonology is another term for phonemics, or the establishment and description of the distinctive sound units of language, or phonemes, by means of distinctive features. Each phoneme is considered as consisting of a group of these features and differing in at least one feature from other phonemes. Phonology is also concerned with a study of word-to-word relations in sentences, that is, how sound patterns are affected by the combination of words. For example, give and him may combine to give him. Next. The next is phonetics, or the study of speech sound. Next. There are 3 main areas of phonetics. The first is articulatory phonetics. This phonetics deals with the way in which speech sounds are produced. Sounds are usually classified according to the position of the lips and the tongue, how far open the mouth is, whether or not the vocal cords are vibrating, etc. The second is acoustic phonetics, that deals with the transmission of speech sounds through the air. When speech sound is produced, it causes minor air disturbances or sound waves. Various instruments are used to measure the characteristics of these sound waves. The third will be auditory phonetics, that deals with how speech sounds are perceived by the listener. For example, a listener may perceive differences in aspiration, example given between the aspirated P of pit and the unaspirated P of pit. The other differences in sound quality, example given between the clear of light and the dark of hail. Next. The next we have semantics, or the study of meaning. Next. There are many different approaches to the way in which meaning in language is studied. The meanings of words may be described as a combination of semantic features. For example, the semantic feature male is part of the meaning of father, and so is the feature adult, but other features are needed to give the whole concept or sense of father. The same feature may be part of the meaning of a number of words. For example, movement is part of the meaning of a whole group of verbs and nouns. Example given, run, jump, walk, gallop. And sometimes semantic features are established by contrast and can be stated in terms of positive or negative. Example given, child is a positive human and negative adult. Man is a positive human, positive adult, and positive male. And boy is a positive human, negative adult, and positive male. Next. Moreover, there is syntax, or the study of how linguistic units larger than the word are constructed. Next. Syntax is the arrangement of words and phrases to create a complete sentence. Syntax is a major component of the grammar of a language, together with lexicon, phonology, and semantics. Syntax concerns the ways in which words combine to form sentences and the rules which govern the formation of sentences, making some sentences possible and others not possible within a particular language. The study of syntax has been perhaps the most active branch of linguistics for the past half-century, and disputes concerning syntax and the ways in which it is to be represented have been the basis of many theoretical proposals and controversies. There are four main types of syntax, which are simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. Next. The last but not least is morphology, or the study of word structure. Next. Morphology is the study of morphemes and their different forms, or allomorphs, and the way they combine in word formation. For example, the English word unfriendly is formed from friend, the adjective forming suffix "ly", and the negative prefix "an". Okay, everyone, that was all about my explanation. The time will be given back to moderator Penny. Thank you.
Thank you, Febri. Well, I think that's all that we can tell you about linguistics. I hope you have found our discussion to be informative and helpful. And thank you very much, and goodbye.